done, not if it's natural or not.
If I'm attracted to you, honestly, I'm trying to smash. You understand? We gotta have sex, and we have to be in.
What you see is what you get with this guy. What, is she poo-poo? Yeah. I don't know where, wait, oh, here. She pooped? Oh. She pooped. We're very excited. Eat as well. You know, a little bit, 5 minutes in the crate and all of a sudden this is a different dog. You know what I'm saying? This is the dog I got in me. I got that dog in me and the dog is Kaya. Bark, bark, bark.
Some type of sexual situation, or I don't really want to, interact with you. On top of that, I don't believe in giving women non-sexual attention unless we're in a relationship. And the reason why is because I feel like non-sexual attention from a man towards a woman is very valuable. So I'm not just giving you that just to be friends.
Bro, what are you saying, dude? Thank God Mr. Lucario's on here because he's bringing the content every time he opens his mouth. I don't believe in giving non-sexual attention to women unless we're in a relationship. Like, I go to Starbucks, and if the barista's a woman, dude, I'm fucking her, okay? If she asks me, if she's like, hey, sir, what kind of coffee do you want? I'm taking my dick out, okay? I'm on many lists. I cannot be within 500 yards of a school, okay? You don't understand, because that's very important to me. Non-sexual attention, okay? Non-sexual attention is only for relationships. Every other woman, I'm sexually harassing.
So I'm saying, like, I'm not just going to do that for you. And so what it is that if I'm going to do that for you, you have to be under my program, which means that we're in some sort of sexual relationship between me and you. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I look at that.
I think that men and women can be friends. It's just not because the man wants to. Most often, it's the man is trying to sleep with a woman.
Right.
And he's trying to hang around long enough for her to slip up and make that happen. I mean, let's keep it 100.
Exactly.
Right? So can they? Yes. And that would have been the technicality. Like when I saw you moving, I'm like, must be something in there, right? But overall, most of the time, you're not going to see a man be friends with a very overweight woman. You're not going to see a man be friends with a very unattractive woman unless there's some kind of financial reward there. So by and largely, I don't buy guy friends, particularly with any girl I'm seeing. It's like, yeah, right.
I think when I think about it, like, and I had a technicality on the other side because I'm like, yeah, part of me really believes that can happen. But then I go back to my experience in life and my friends, and it's really hard. I was running over there in my head, like, should I sit down? But I was running all these scenarios from life experience of my friends who have said that, girls and guys, because it's not just guys, and it's never worked out that way. It just never is. And I think if you find a person can be an attractive person and you not find that person attractive and you be friends.
You have friendship and attraction.
That's my thing.
Yeah,
Part of a relationship is friendship and getting along. And then on top of it, you find that person attractive.
No way.
I just think it's a very rare thing. Yes, a person can be attracted to me and you not find them attractive, and I can be friends with that person. But if I'm finding that, or if you're finding that person attractive and you build a friendship
and you connect,
and you probably want to be with them.
That's like, I don't think Adam and Micah say it doesn't exist, but to me, just again, in my experience in life and just knowing my friends and people, I don't know one that has worked out that way.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with like your own experiences. Obviously, if that's what you've seen or that's what you personally experienced, that like you yourself couldn't be in a friendship with a woman, like, again, that's your personal experience though. Whereas the question is like, can any man be in a regular friendship with a woman?
Like a real friendship, like they're actually really friends.
Yeah.
And he not want to sleep with her and find her attractive? Right. No.
I think it's BS.
Because like at that point, like we're also talking about like, now we're talking about like what is an attractive woman, right? Are we talking about just looks? Because in this case, like there are people who like honestly don't like have sexual like desires for a woman who isn't like emotionally linked.
I think it's, is she attractive to you?
Yeah.
I think that's like the basis of it. When you look at specific situations, so for some of these females that work for you, for example, if they're very attractive, do you feel, I would imagine you have the capacity to compartmentalize that?
Gift from God. Yeah, man. The second I sign their check, it's gone.
It's gone, right? So it's just, I think it's the same thing with friends as significant others as well. It's like I have the ability to compartmentalize it where it's like, all right, this attraction is just dissipates.
So is that the barrier that can make a man friends with an attractive woman? If there's that barrier of him being in a relationship, or you working for them?
Well, first of all, we're not friends. You work for me.
Right.
You know, I care about you fully. You're part of the family, but you work for me. We're not personal friends. And me and you will not be in an atmosphere we're alone.
Right. So when you go back to it, is it a thing where if you're both single, do we all think that you could be friends with an attractive woman? If we're both single.
Hell no.
Nope.
I don't know.
No.
I don't.
No.
A man should not cry in front of his kids.
It ain't popular. It's not going to be popular to say this. But ideally, you're not going to cry in front of your kids. They cry to you. Is it fair? No. Is life fair? No. Is the dynamic between a man, a woman, a child fair? No. But personally for me, I want to take that responsibility of being the one that's stronger than all of them. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that responsibility. I want that responsibility in my life. I want to feel like I was a hero to them in every way. And I don't think a man that cries in front of his family is not the hero. But ideally, I'm not going to be doing that.
Right. It's weird. I've never actually seen my dad cry till this day. Like, not even once. The kid.
Yeah, and you are clearly just a beacon of good childhood development. So that makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to look at that and go with what not to do. Okay.
Is looking to
Yeah, he's well adjusted. So what's the problem? You know what I
their
mean?
father for that strength. And so if they're seeing their dad cry, right, I feel like that creates fear in the situation the kid has with their father. If you're crying in front of your kids, it's the same thing as crying in front of your girl. It's a bad representation of what you're supposed to be in that situation for them.
Now, I'll tell you when I do cry. Bro, when you see like one of those kids with Down syndrome get put in a high school basketball game, he starts nailing threes and the gym goes crazy, bro, I'll be crying my ass off. I'm so happy for the kid. It's like happy, I'm like laughing, I'm like, but other than that, man, no.
Wait, what? Bro, where the fuck did that come from? What a weird, what? That is such a specific example that he just like pulled out of nowhere. Why did he say this? What is bro saying, dude? What is he cooking? He's cooking with something, dude. What the fuck? It's been on his mind since he got there. He's like, finally, it's a moment where I could bring up the Down syndrome kid that I was thinking about. What the fuck? That was unintentionally hilarious. What the fuck did he say? You know he watched the compilation videos of just exactly that? Dude, it's such a stupid thing to just blurt out for no reason. You know when I do cry, I cry when I see Down syndrome kids sink that three at the gym. And then that song starts playing dun 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 dun, and then it's like you're watching it in slow motion. It's crazy. That happened to me in real life.
No, not at all. Calm the heat.
Can the person who like has kids?
I was gonna, but look, I have a father who I've never seen cry, so I get that. I was that man. Again, you have to understand my kids. My middle daughter, who I'm going to talk about, is 26 years old. Now, for some reason, out of all three of my children, that middle girl, from the time she turned 13 to 17, 18, we just butted heads, right? And the relationship wasn't going to where it should be going. And I want to be close to my kids. We sat down. She was about 20, maybe 19, 20 years old. We had a heart-to-heart about our feelings and how we really felt about each other, and I cried. And 6 years later, some years later, better relationship than we've ever had because she saw a human part of me and not just me trying to be.
That's it. That's exactly it. When you see a parent cry, you don't see them as like weak. You see them as human, which is probably important to like adjust appropriately to the real world. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I ever did when I was younger. I never saw my dad cry when I was younger. I can't even think about it, but like when I was older, I did. And I never thought about him as like a weaker person. You know what I mean? It's so weird. Odd.
What you guys are talking about, which is a good thing too. You can count, my wife can count on one.
He cries for the Down syndrome kids, but not his own. Wait, hold up. Maybe his child has Down syndrome. Actually, I don't think he has kids. Fuck you. Fuck you, Dad. You're crying, you weak bitch. Yeah, exactly. Dad, you're not alpha dog. I'm disowning you.
One hand, how many times you see me cry. I think my son had and my other daughter have it. But I'm going to tell you, for that enriching moment, and that's again just coming with years, of having those tears with her and talking about how important it was that our relationship worked, and then hear her come back and saying she felt the same way and breaking through that. I'm the father, I'm going to be the strong one, made her break down and both of us be closer than we ever have been.
Can I ask you a question about that? Do you think that if you could have set her down earlier than the age that you did and just had a vulnerable conversation, that maybe it could have happened? Like it wouldn't have had to build all the way up to tears?
No.
She wouldn't have been able to hear it, or?
No, because what was going on from my understanding of our relationship is that, you know, young people, I'm very independent, my children are very independent. They don't want to be controlled in a certain way. And as a father, you still have to keep that control. She was only seeing that side. So she was only seeing this domineering person trying to squish what she thought that she wanted to be or who she wanted to be. And that wasn't it. I was just trying to play the father role. I saw my dad do it. Never a tear. He's that man, you know, and I was raised by that man, and I took that on. I remember sitting my son down and telling him, boys don't cry. And I still to this day regret that. And I still talk to him, he's 24. I still talk to him about I was wrong, because I do not think that's the way we're supposed to live our lives. And I think that's why you go back to the statistic of how a lot of men are depressed. We're supposed to have emotions. We're human. Now, I don't believe every time you turn around, you should be in front of your children, ooh, and your wife, like, you know, I think that's a drastic thing. But I know dropping a tear as a father for me made a relationship and so much closer and so much better than it would. I'm telling you, I know than it would have ever been.
You don't think you could have shown that vulnerability without a tear?
No.
My dad was capable of expressing emotion, not from the standpoint of being a whiny little baby. He held it down on my family. My parents are the happiest couple I've ever seen, still to this day. But my dad was able to, and still is able to, at funerals, be able to show emotion. During movies, when he feels the emotion, be able to show up and do that. I'd never see him whining about, like what you guys are saying, whining about just.
Dude, whining and crying are two different things. Kaya is whining right now. You know what I mean? Like, she's whining. Okay? He said, hey, your dad, if you cried in front of your kids, you're a bitch. You whined.
Issues happening in his life, like at work and what he's doing. Never. He deals with that on his own. But he is showing up vulnerably when he is experiencing an emotion, not from a whiny baby place, but from a freeness that he has with it. And I even think, like, when I first went off to college, you know, he's tearing up too.
So I would just like to say, this is a field I specialize in. I'm a program manager for a nonprofit that focuses on mental health. And
This
a
guy's
lot
such
of the
a
times
stud.
what we get in our clients are men that are coming in dealing with childhood trauma, these expectations and standards of trying to live up to the quote unquote masculine ideal. So a lot of the times we have men coming in because they're still trying to seek approval in their 30s, or they're still trying to get that male validation, you know, in their 40s. And it goes back to making sure we understand the difference between regulating your emotions and suppressing them. I think that's why I said earlier, like, to be an alpha, you have to be balanced. You guys can be emotional as well. You guys can be vulnerable. It doesn't make you less than. Just like a woman being more assertive doesn't make her less than a woman. If you feel like you don't want to promote being emotional in front of your kids, you know, I've asked the question, does that kind of fall into toxic masculinity for your son?
Well, first, I didn't say anything about not being vulnerable. Vulnerable is the word that I brought up. So I think being vulnerable is very important. I think crying, physically crying in front of your kids is not ideal. This is not about an ego stroke or trying to be overly masculine. I think being vulnerable as a man is one of the strongest things a man can actually do. It's just that I don't think that crying, particularly sobbing, is going to be very healthy as the leader and the person that they're supposed to come to for that safety.
Okay, now they're just like trying to back away and like arguing semantics. Like, what the fuck? What about sobbing? Just like, what about bawling your eyes out? It's not very productive in problem solving. It's like, dude, first of all, crying is not supposed to be a particularly logical reaction to a situation. It's just like a reaction, oftentimes an emotional one. It's a way to, you know, it's like a natural way to make yourself feel better. And oftentimes it's involuntary. It's kind of been like that the whole time, like an ashamed alpha who knows he can't be 100% tated up. Yeah. You're allotted 5 tiers per year. Use them wisely. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't.
In that care.
But isn't real vulnerability then you're just not being honest? Be like, yo, babe, sorry, I had this thing. I
want to see like
left
better.
And I cried, but now I'm here to be strong with you. That's real vulnerability.
I can't think of a scenario where I'd leave to cry.
Yeah.
See, I guess.
Well, but needing feels performative. I'm trying to show you how vulnerable I am.
No, it's not necessarily showing. It's
I want to see better. I want to see the way that this guy represents himself in front of like women who are talking back to him and shit.
I think you can be very vulnerable without crying.
Yeah. People just express their sadness in different ways.
You can be, but I heard what you guys were saying earlier, and I agree with that. It's like, you know, you don't want to be a crybaby about things. We don't, right? But it's like to be at, for instance, if I'm at a funeral and this person meant something to tell me, no, can't do that. Or I see something on television or a movie that moves me, like, you can't do that. It's like kind of like a very weird thing. And I think you guys touched upon that.
There's just like a weird stigma behind like crying, because it seems like we keep associating crying with weakness. And the issue is that, like, again, there is a big difference between crying and sobbing. Yeah. So hysterically sobbing, like, I think that should only do if you, like, say you lost a loved one, like, really close to you, like say like your significant other, say like horrible accident, like stuff like that. You know, like there are obviously scenarios for that.
We saw the one